Okay, so we're going to be talking about how to compare two texts, the sort of things you can comment upon in your essay. So, most importantly, the text type. So, if it's a book, if it's a film, or if it's a play, that obviously has a different language and a different way of being expressed. So what you're hoping is that you're comparing either a book to a film, or a film to a play, or a book to a play. You want contrast. If it's two of the same thing, then that makes it a little bit harder, but again, you'll find things to talk about. Now, this one takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more research. You're going to be talking about the creator, so the author, the director, or the playwright. You can talk about their gender, their age, their personal history, their educational background, their racial background, their ancestry, also any single thing you can find. You're going to be trying to pull out a difference between the two people. Or, instead of being that simplistic, you're going to be drawing out how their experience affected the way they made their text, their movie, their play, or the book that they wrote. Now, the next thing obviously is plot, and that means the events. So think about the establishment, which is the beginning, the conflict, which is sort of the juicy problem of the story, and the resolution, which is the ending. Some other things you could think about are acts of conflict, acts of violence, and acts of love. The sort of the high points of the story rather than just the basic things that happen. So compare the beginning of each text. Does one start slow? Does one start in the middle of the action? Is one a flashback? The middle, what is the problem? Are the problems similar? Are the problems different? The resolution or the ending, are the endings different? Are they both satisfying? Is one dissatisfying? Does one involve a death? Is one love? Is one a happy ending? Is one they lived happily ever after? How are they different? How are they similar? So the next thing to think about is the themes of your text. So it depends on who's chosen the two texts for you and if they line up or correlate, or if they're actually quite different and disparate, which makes it a little bit more interesting to compare and contrast the two things. But so you're trying to find some themes that are common, maybe love, some pretty big universal themes, family, love, conflict, racism maybe. But you're also trying to find smaller, more granular themes, like if they're talking about family, maybe one text's aspect is mothers and daughters, or brothers and sisters, whereas the other text focuses on the dad and the mum and their relationship and how that impacts on their young children. The next thing is symbols. So as I've said in my other videos, this is a sort of once-off little images that are used to represent different things. So for this, you should probably have a list of symbols for each text that is quite long, and there probably won't be many crossovers between the two texts. So it could be things like weapons, visions, darkness, animals, cars, something that represents something else in the text. So this is the big obvious one, motifs. So the big things that reoccur throughout each text. And this is really where you start to think about what the author was trying to do and how they made it quite clear and quite symbolic. So you're thinking To Kill a Mockingbird, the mockingbird. Macbeth, you're thinking daggers, bloodstains. For films, it might be a red skyline or a flock of birds, things that reoccur. And again, these should be quite separate lists for the two texts that you've done. The last thing we're going to talk about is the moral, the message, or the lesson. If you showed the film to a young child, for example, what would the lesson to them be? What is the director trying to show? What is it he or she trying to say? What are they telling you about the world, and what are they telling you about the characters in their film, play, or book? So it could be things like, don't trust outsiders, you must love yourself to love others, hate breeds hate, racism is an illness of society. Try and think of maybe 3 or 5 for each text. What is the message, what is the moral, and what are the lessons?